Also, David, I want you to think about it as well, because we'll be able to hear you, and hopefully you'll hear everyone. All right, so we'll start with you, Matt. What does being an architect mean to you?
Creating something that maybe something that's safer, people can function in. Something that's designed nicely, that you're able to function in correctly in the right way, easily. Something that's pleasing to look at. Sometimes it has to have that function.
So function oriented. All right, Rachel.
Being creative, thinking ahead, kind of like leadership.
So leadership, thinking ahead, creativity. Miss Adina.
Kind of like being an artist and a scientist at the same time. Thinking around the concepts, also having to make something that has use.
So being an artist and scientist, like putting those two realms together and creating something people can interact with. And Melissa?
I said the same thing, but I feel like being an architect means creating like a building that meets people needs to make them.
So creating something to meet people's needs and to function.
Yeah, like function easily and good for traffic.
Right.
What about you, Jordan?
Architecture to me it's freedom of expression and using research as well as art in order to create something that could be beautiful and functional at the same time.
Yep. So research, freedom, creating something beautiful. For me, actually, I have a similar kind of mindset to everyone. So for you, Adina, it's like, actually in my first year, I did view architecture as like art and science coming together. So you have like these freedoms of expression and sort of being able to express yourself, right? But then you have the science part of it where you actually create like a function, you create a form that has a function for people to like interact and engage in. And yeah, being an architect to me just, you know, means creating a world for yourself, like a world that you want to live in. You know, there's many different issues going on in the world and like things that, you know, I wish was better and you know, that's part of the thing is like problem solving as an architect and like finding solutions for needs that need to be met, right? All right, so we're going.
What about David?
Oh yeah, David.
I mean, probably planning and executing is like the first thing that came to my mind.
Planning and executing.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so now we're going to talk about, you know, ways of architectural thinking. And I feel like as architects and artists, you know, architecture is a creative field. So there's many artistic endeavors that you engage in. So we're going to be looking at a few pictures after we consider these questions. So the questions are, what do you feel? What do you hear? What do you see? Who is in the space? So really, when you look at images, try and put yourself in the space, because as architects, what we're doing is we're like curating environments, we're curating experiences, right? Like, Rachel, can you give me an example of like, maybe like, give me an example of like a place where you felt something, or like a place where, I don't know, it had meaning to you in like an architectural, yeah, it could be anything, like a restaurant or like a,
that's related to architecture. Like, because when I'm at Six Flags, I feel excitement. That's what came to mind. The first thing I
Right.
thought of.
right.
And that's part of the design.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and think about it, think about how Six Flags was designed, right? Think about like when you're entering into Six Flags, like what the experience is like when you're walking to the rides, how did they lay out the space? Because there must be some thinking behind how they laid out, like how you walk from one roller coaster to another and like what's in between.
And how much space in between each roller coaster. So if there's a lot of people in line, you have enough space to not too close together and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like in that example, it would be like, what do you feel? Excitement. What do you hear? The roller coaster. So you're really putting yourself in this environment. Like, what do you see? Things like that. So our first example we're going to look at in the mood and essence sphere is this image. So what we're going to do is just look at this image, and this is some architecture kind of sit with a similar mood and essence to this image. So the questions we just looked at, look at this image, take it in, kind of put yourself in the space, and we'll take a moment, just look at it, think about it, and then we're
answer
gonna
the 4 questions.
talk about it. So I'll give you a minute. Everyone had enough time? You have some thoughts pieced together? Need more time, Matt? All right, so Melissa, just talk about, this image. What are you seeing? Like, what do you think the feeling would be like if you're in this space?
To me, I think the feeling would be like relaxing, because you can just sit here, hear the water sounds. You'll probably like see like apples or like stuff that floats in the water or something. And then I feel like it's very natural, like you see a lot of trees, you see the water coming down, and that's about it.
What about food? Food would be here.
So I would say either anybody or like before like animals or like frogs and stuff floating in the water. And yeah.
Cool. Miss Adina?
In terms of hearing, there's a lot of us probably hear that a lot. It's like lots of bigger noises or any insects.
Try and project your voice so we can hear you.
The Zoom needs to hear you.
Yeah, so waterfall would be one of the main things you hear there, I think. Or insects. I imagine it looks tropical. It's probably insects. Yeah, I don't know who would be there unless it's like some like people who are specific to that area would be there, or tourists.
Try and put yourself in that space. How do you think you'd feel if you're just sitting like here, or you walked upon this spot?
Serene.
Serene. So what is serene? Like, what is that?
Like when you feel at or the environment makes you feel like happy.
All right, Miss Rachel.
I feel calm, but since I see no one, it looks very quiet. I would hear like again like nothing, but just the water. Probably like hear nature. See like what do I see? Well, I see a pond and lots of green, and green makes you feel good. Who I think would be there? Just there's water, probably like swimmers, or it really like gives off Karate Kid vibes. So maybe somebody like practicing kung fu or karate. Yeah.
Cool.
Or anybody who wants to read or draw, wants to sit in a quiet, independent place.
Yeah, I like what you said about green makes you feel good. It seems like both of you kind of, we all like nodded our head to that. like in architecture, really take note of that, like how color can influence how you feel.
Yeah. Because some colors can make you feel like angry, some can make you feel sad, some can make you feel uplifted.
Right.
Right.
So like, so you take that and then like, now bring it into architecture, you know, like maybe you're designing a prison and you want someone to feel, maybe not, let's not say a prison, that's not a good example. Say you're designing, say like a church or something, right? You want this space to like imbibe these certain feelings of like, I don't know, like harmony, serenity, peace. So like the colors you could use, the textures you can use, sort of the way the architecture is laid out can influence these things.
Right. All of your senses.
Okay.
All of your senses come into play here. And again, color with architecture, the color of light in a space really contributes to your mood and how you feel. Like these lights are like daylight white. They're supposed to make you feel energetic and productive. And that's what they're designed for. But at home, you might have a slightly orange light, and that makes you feel relaxed and comfortable. And in like, I don't know, a hospital, they have like bluer lights even.
Just to fill you in, Andrew. So what we're talking about, we're looking at like mood and essence with imagery and things of that sort. We have a couple questions to consider, just like, what do you feel, hear, see, who would be in the space, kind of like putting yourself in the space and trying to like feel what it is. And then like, what we're doing is like, by speaking, we're like kind of giving our ideas, maybe consciously or unconsciously, about concepts that you can implement in the architecture to create certain moods and create certain experiences. So we have another,
Oh, wait, we forgot Matt and David.
yeah, pardon me, Mr. Matt.
Very much what most of them said, feel relaxed, feel at peace when you're in the area. You hear that wind in the trees, the nature around you, the flowing water. And obviously you see all that going on. So it's not even like a lot of movement, it's just all nice, slowly moving. Not really much going on, but it makes you feel comfortable. And who I would see here, I really wouldn't see many people. I would see maybe one or two people using this space, like being peaceful in it, all that.
So like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like we have this image here. If you can see to the left and right, it might be a little difficult to see. This is a building, a house in Brazil by this architect called Oscar Neymar. You might come across him. He's one of my favorite architects, actually. And the reason I put these images juxtaposed next to each other is because they have very similar kind of essences. You know, with the greenery, the rocks, sort of
The flow of the scenery.
the flow, the scenery, even the space, you know. And so you can imagine living here, right? So we talked about the essence with this, and then it's like in an architectural context, you know, if you put yourself living in that house, I mean, I would like to live in that house, you know. All right, so we have,
David?
oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, personally, Zen is the first word that came to mind when I saw this. I just want to like meditate, but then at the same time, I just want to hop from rock to rock as well. So I don't know.
So it's
That
like
makes
a
Quiet
space of
energy.
play.
Yeah, I would just jump from rock to rock, trying not to get into the water, but that's just me.
Cool.
Imaja?
So Maja, I don't know when you joined. Do you know kind of what we're doing right here?
No, not really.
All right, so you can hear me, right?
Yes.
So basically what we're doing is looking at this image, and we have these questions, like what do you feel? What do you see? What do you hear? Who's in the space? So basically these questions kind of put you into this space that we see here in the center. And basically just like trying to immerse yourself in the space and think about these qualities. Like, I'll give you a second because Andrew, I want to hear what you think.
tranquility. That's basically it. That's what I get, like, peace of mind, just to rest, meditate. Very similar to it, I'm sure. Everybody is.
What do you think? What is tranquility?
Just peace. Like I said, just being at rest. Like the same thing that I said. Just being meditated.
So peace, restful.
Mhm.
So what I hear you saying, it sounds like a place of sort of healing.
Mhm.
All right, Miss Amijah, do you have any thoughts on these things?
To piggyback off of Andrew's ideas, I think of peace, and me personally, I would want to jump into the water because I do love the water. So I think of the nature just is really peaceful in my.
What does the water mean to you? Do you like swimming?
Yes, I do. It means relaxation.
Swimming and relaxation. Nice. So like in architecture, right? Like if you wanted to create a building that had the feeling of relaxation, what I heard you said in your personal life, it's like water kind of coincides with relaxation. Am I correct?
Yes.
Right. So,
You might create a lounge with, say, a live waterfall in the lobby, or you might include similar colors, maybe even some live trees and planter pots or something like that. But this could also be an outside space too. So you could recreate this vibe outside as well. And it's important to pick these things apart in order to apply them somewhere else.
This is around that building.
No. So basically, this is the mood, right? And then this is a completely different space. This is
Same mood though.
this isn't in Brazil. This was designed by Oscar Neymar.
Right.
I would check him out if you don't know about him. He's one of my favorite architects. And basically, like the qualities that we're talking about with this mood here, that essence is similar in this space.
So is it about the integration of, like, taking something from the environment and then putting that within like a building or something?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, in this example, indeed. All right, I think we're ready to move on to the next example. So this one's a little different. So we're gonna take a second, maybe look at the image, kind of do a similar thing, put yourself in the space. What kind of music do you hear?
If
You
there's
know,
music.
who would go here? Like what type of person would be in this space? What feelings do you get by looking at this space? Other things like what design principles or patterns evoke certain things. So we're just gonna look at it for a minute or two and maybe even close your eyes and really put yourself in this spot.
All right. So remember what you feel, what you see, what you hear, who would be there. And this time we're going to start with Imaja.
So in this, see a restaurant. I see a warm kind of environment. But I would say, I feel like this is a place where you see a lot of people socializing and being able to relax like they're at home.
All right. And David?
I can see like an office party or like some type of like social gathering and under the like in there, definitely. I mean, a lot of chit chatting I can hear.
What are they talking about? Come on,
Uh,
put yourself in this space. You said an office party, you know, like
yeah, I mean, they're probably socializing like I don't know, like small like office small talk, whatever they do. They're trying to be social.
And Matt?
I've been in a lot of restaurants and I've like seen a lot of different atmospheres and a lot of different ones. This one kind of makes me feel like almost privacy almost. Like a family would go here and like each family would be almost separate. They'd have their own privacy kind of. And I would hear like some like smoothing music in the background. And you really want to hear the other families because they're all like talking amongst themselves. They're all their privacy almost. That's just kind of
what do you think evokes this? By the way, these are two different spaces, by the way. These are two, they're
Yeah.
not like in the same building. What do you think evokes that feeling of privacy?
like how enclosed it is, how close everything is. And that those walls like almost covering you.
And
Maybe both of them.
so the walls.
Yeah.
Miss Rachel?
I think I would feel kind of excited because it makes me think of how like you're sitting at a table waiting for like a good meal to come. I would hear a lot
What kind of
like,
meal is coming?
So the lighting, that looks like a fancy restaurant lighting. So I think like really like good quality food.
So what I hear you're saying, it evokes a sense of luxury.
Yes.
So what gives it that? You said lighting?
The
The
color of the
lighting.
lighting.
The
Okay.
color,
What else?
the furniture, definitely the wall, the type of wall it is.
Right. Quality of the material.
Yes.
What's that? Miss Adina?
I feel like because the spaces you wouldn't like, it would be noisy.
Okay.
Like you would hear all the different tables talking. It would be, I don't know, that's the experience I got from that space. With the lighting, it's a very like albeit chill space. Like go there, hang out, talk, eat.
What else do you see? You know, what do you like? You know, the chairs that are in these things, the tables, the colors that are used. What do you see?
Very warm, a lot of warm.
And what material is it? Does it?
Yeah. We'll say it's wood.
All right, Miss Melissa.
I feel like it makes you feel energetic. And I feel like you were like kind of what everyone else was saying, both privacy so you can sit at the table and talk. And then also I feel like it may be like noisy because of how the tape, like on the left picture, how the tables are kind of close to each other. But then I feel like that's where everyone sits, so it may be noisy, but not as much because the walls may block the sound that's coming in and out. And I feel like for who would be like either for a nice gathering or just to come and talk and like catch up on your day or something.
Yeah. What do you think about the spacing of the tables? Would you have arranged it like this? Would you ever put it more far apart? Would you even have this bench going along this wall?
I would say the bench would probably stay, but like in terms of the tables, move it maybe, because if you sit, like from my view, if you sit there where the table are, you may not have enough of leg space. So probably whoever built it, move the table up some, that way you have enough leg space, enough space to go out against the back.
Yeah. What time of day do you think people would come to this space versus this space?
I think for the left, people will come probably at night, like maybe 5 when someone gets off of work. For the space on the right, I feel like that definitely would be night, like.
Night? Why do you think? Why do you think late night?
Because the lighting, it's very bright. And even.
What's
where-
used to create the lighting?
Yeah, that art that's back there, the lighting, just the lighting itself, to me, tells someone will come there at night, maybe about 9, 8.
Yeah. Even the way like the table and the chairs are set up, to me, I like immediately when I see that image, I hear like late night jazz,
Right.
red wine and jazz, and you're just like slowly chatting, and then you have like some mad jazz musician going at it.
Estes, let's hear
Yeah,
your thoughts.
so, for the left, I would actually think we would come in like during the day for like more natural warm light, and then the right, like more like intimate, artificial, like the candles and everything like that. Both speak to like are saying like come in, like stay a while. I do hear the jazz that we're talking about. Who would come here? Maybe like couples, families. I would say like business people if they wanted like an expensive like dinner or even lunch even. So yeah, I'm hearing like the same thing that I'd see. So.
Why do you think? Because I think it was a really interesting observation talking about the lighting. What do you think informed that decision with this space about the natural lighting?
Just the design of the wall. I think I would be under the impression that the architect designed it so that natural light could come through and it would I don't know, present like a different experience for people dining in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that.
When I look at this one especially, I'm thinking like cave,
Right.
like a
right.
warm, like a cave with a fire in it. I'm thinking we're sitting here for a long time. These tables are not made for eating. These tables are for like crackers and wine and cheese. You're sitting there for a long time and you can hear people. It's lively. It's not quiet. And it's this one feels really homey. This one is really lively. This one here. The tables are close together. They might have moved them closer for the picture. I don't think doesn't look realistic, but the wood and all the different wood tones all combine together to bring a warm, inviting feel that you want to bring your significant other to. Look at the roses on the table. You want to bring your significant other to your family. You're gonna have like normal dinner there, maybe like I don't know, Mediterranean, Italian dinner there.
Jumping off what you're saying too, Jordan, is like there's in both of the things we've seen, there's like specific sort of details that connect these, and I think it was a great observation by you, Melissa, talking about like time of day that these spaces are created. Like you even see with this grid structure, even with the chairs, it's like a very kind of linear, upright daytime. I imagined around 5. I don't know what time. 5, 6. Like see how it is with the light outside right now. Like around this time, you'd be like going into that spot. But it's a little more upright and sort of, you'd have a meal. But here you can see even with this wall, it's like curved, a little slouch, a little slump, chilled.
It's enclosed.
And with the chair, they're like slightly angled up, and it really looks like, late night, you're chilling. What I was also saying is like, there's this certain essence, like the materials used. So the wood, this dark, rich sort of mahogany wood, paired with, you know, the more redder tones, you know, even in the chairs here. So these are parallels you can make. So I love these points. All right, so we'll move on now. All right, so we just talked about mood and essence, and we looked at these images and had our own thoughts and feelings about these things. So in architecture, Jordan and I have identified kind of two lanes one could take to creating concepts and sort of maybe helping you identify what you feel like closer to and like what resonates with you more. So first we have this approach called the Continental Approach. Basically, it's an approach that's art inspired. So you could be inspired, say, by a painting, a sculpture, you know, a song,
A
music.
picture, anything.
Inspired by abstract. So it could be like more philosophical ideas that inspire your architecture, like
Such as the dining room, the curved ceiling, you know, that's like a cave almost. And maybe the architect was thinking, I want an experience where you're relaxing and you feel enclosed and safe. So you have that cave aspect. It's that kind of like pulling from other things and history, ideas, and everything you've learned in order to come up with something different and that's cohesive. Whereas maybe an analytical approach would be, think of like a college or a school design. It's like, it's very systematical. It's structured. You know, here we have all the hallways on one side and you have all the classrooms on the other. And it's analytical in a way of, you know, trying to be concise and sensical.
Yeah, and jumping off what you're saying, a great example of an analytical approach is actually with the golden ratio, right? You take this mathematical formula of the golden ratio, and you can take that strictly, and out of that comes, you know, like your block study, certain buildings, different layouts, all these examples.
Organizations of different building sizes, shapes, anything.
Yeah. And it's based sort of in a very rational mathematical sort of way. So now we have some buildings. So for this, so we just went over mood, essence, ways of looking at buildings, how they're conceived. And we're gonna show you 3 buildings. And what we're gonna do is look at these buildings, whichever one you enjoy the most. We're gonna do about 10-15 minutes of research. It won't be too deep, but try and find what the architect was inspired by, what kind of informed how they created their building, what the purpose of the building is for, what materials they used. So the first building we have here is Zaha Hadid. That's the architect. It's a lovely building, and this is the name. So here we are with that one. Next, we have an architect called Louis Kahn. So this is a different look compared to Zaha Hadid.
Very opposite in a way.
What kind of approach do you think Louis Kahn took?
More structured, the other one is very
Right, so we have. So what approach do you think Zaha Hadid took for this building? Louis Kahn took the analytical approach, you say? Yeah, I agree. Here's some floor plans for that. And then finally, we have the Pantheon in Rome. This is, you know, if you look into it, you might find some really interesting things. So Does everyone have a choice? What are you gonna do, Matt?
The first one.
First one.
The second one.
Louis
Right, and we
Kahn.
have the name of the buildings here, so
Yeah,
make
just
sure you
take-
write it down.
Take note of it. I'll get you the
This is
first
the
one.
extra library, this is the Azerbaijan. And then the third one's the Pantheon in
in
Rome.
Rome. What are you gonna do, Adina?
Okay,
Pantheon. What are you gonna do, Andrew? The Louis Kahn. What are you gonna do? Pantheon.
all right.
All right. So, what are you gonna do, Elijah?
I'm going to do the Zaha Hadid, or the Zaha, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly.
Yep, Zaha Hadid. Make sure you take note of the name. Or what are you gonna do, David?
Pantheon.
Pantheon. All right, cool. So everyone has something of their choice. We'll give you 15 minutes. We'll do some research, and we'll just talk about what we found
We
out.
You know, quickly just take a few bullet points, little notes. You really want to be looking for what they were, what the purpose of it was, why they made design decisions. What was the idea that formed it, if there was one? What approach, Continental versus analytic, or any other one that you could find? Where and when? The budget, if there was a budget, you know, that might be hard to find, so don't worry too much about that.
Material though might be good to look
Material.
at. Construction method, I mean, that might be difficult to find as well, but. And also the context the architecture was created in. Like what was going on around that time? So I'll just leave those questions up and we'll do some.
Yeah,
No, we'll just leave it up, but yeah, take a picture.
leave it up for you.
Guys may be their picture on the front, not to be-
That's okay. I'm not shy.
If I stop recording, do you think it would be,
It might be two files. Yeah. Yeah, put it together.
yeah.
Maybe the board tab.